I went to the door and knocked on the door, and the man answered, and I said, I need to call the police. I was just thrown out in the dirt in my own car, and they took off with my purse and my car. And I said, I need to have the police. He said, oh my goodness, I'll call right away. And so they called, the man called the police, and I sat on the front porch, and then here come the fire truck, and they wanted to know if I went to, and the policeman and the sheriff, and they all came in the driveway of the farmhouse where I stopped at. And I said, no, I didn't need to go to no hospital. Finally, the fire truck left, except they treated my arm. They washed it all down and put medicine on it and put bandage on. No, wait a minute. They washed it all down and they put medicine on it. I don't remember. I don't remember whether they they put some bandage on the bad part of just a band-aid on a couple of them, but the others were they were basically clear. And
Okay, Ms. Zielke, I'm going to go ahead and stop you right there. I'm going to see if the attorney has any other specific questions for you. Ms. Norris, do you have a question to ask her?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Zielke, when you say country road, do you mean gravel road?
well, it was out in the
Not
country.
paved?
It was out in the country. It was not paved because I had dirt all over my whole arms when I stood up because my whole arm was bloody. The blood
Okay.
was coming out of all down my whole entire arm.
Okay. And the person that's and real quick, I'll ask this question first. When you're looking at your screen right now, do you see just me or do you see multiple people?
I see multiple people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people.
Okay. Now,
6,
Ms. Zielke,
7.
do you see the person that you identified as the heavier set girl that I think you've been referring to as Wendy on the screen?
Yes, I see one Negro girl, and that's her.
Okay, so do you see the person that you've been referring to as the bigger girl and Wendy when you were talking?
Yeah, yes.
All
Can
right,
you
Ms.
say
Ms.
what color she's wearing and maybe what the title in the corner of the box is?
She's wearing orange,
Okay.
an orange.
And Your Honor would ask that the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Wendy Scott.
The record so reflects. Ms. Scott, hold your commentary.
And Ms. Zielke, how old are you, or how old were you in July?
86 years old.
Okay. And what kind of car?
I had a brand new car. It was a brand new Ultima Nissan. So it's this year's.
Okay, so a 2024 Nissan Altima.
Yes.
Did you purchase it this year?
Oh yeah, it's brand new.
Ms. Zielke, when this is going on, were you in fear for your safety?
Well, yeah, when they stopped and jumped and pulling my arms and shoved me out in the dirt and zoomed off in my car, definitely. I was terrified. I didn't know what was going on.
Do you recall anything else that Wendy said to you about the gun or if she was going to use the gun?
She said, I've used this before and I will use it again. That's how she said it to me.
Okay. And besides the scratches that the nails did you have any other injuries from the ground or the rocks or I guess maybe even the fall or the whole pushing and pulling on your body?
My whole arm was just ripped. I'm assuming she had long fingernails, and when they were pulling me, it just tore my whole skin up. My whole skin, even the fire truck and things that came out and cleaned all of them up. Notice the whole thing was all done. They had to clean my whole entire arm and they put some kind of medicine on it, and they just cleaned up the whole arm and stuff.
Miss Silky, did you end up having to go get any additional medical attention from
No, I
this
didn't.
incident?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you didn't end up with any broken bones
No, I
or
did
anything like
not.
that?
No, I did not.
Okay, well, that's good. Miss Zilke, based on how you were explaining it, you did not give them any permission to take your car or your purse or your daughter's dog.
Definitely not. They threw me on the ground and just took it. I could not believe it. I was hanging onto the steering wheel with everything, trying to stay in the car. And the other girl was shoving me from the back, and Wendy was pulling my arm from the other. She was standing with the driver's door open, pulling my arm. And I was trying so hard to stay in the car. And they said they were going to take it. And I said, no, this belongs to me. No, you cannot have my purse. Because I said, give me your purse. She said, give me your purse. Give it to me now. And I said, no, it belongs to me.
Okay, next question, Ms. Norris.
Thank you, Miss Silky. I don't think that I have any other questions. But Mr. Watts, the defense attorneys may have some follow-up questions, okay?
All right.
Thanks.
Mr. Watts, do you have any questions for Ms. Zilke?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you. Ms. Zilke, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that basically some persons came to your door, correct?
What did you say?
You said that some persons came to your door?
Some persons?
That day?
Wendy came to my door first.
Okay, let's talk
Which I
about
was shocked because she wasn't with that the other girl that lives there, and she said, "Do you mind if I come in and wait
ma'am.
for her?"
Ma'am,
And
hold
I
on a
said,
moment. Ma'am,
"Well,
ma'am, hold a moment. You mentioned you've used that name Wendy several times. How and when did you learn that this person's name was Wendy?
because today I learned it.
Okay.
I didn't know it before, but I learned it today when we were calling in and stuff, trying to set everything up to get on the TV the internet with you.
Okay. Now, Wendy was there. The person you described as Wendy, you name as Wendy, was there. There was another person there, correct?
Yes, that was her good friend who
Okay.
lived on the same floor as I did, but she lived down further down the hall from me. And
Okay.
I
Ma'am,
know her last
thank you.
name is Rogers because they told us that, but I don't remember what they said her first name was.
Okay. Who told you that?
Well, when I talked to the sheriff,
Okay. So the sheriff told you her name was Rogers.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You said this is a person that lived on the same floor with you?
Yet she lived on the same floor, but way down the hall from where I lived.
Okay. Was she a person you were familiar with?
I had recently just talked to her. I didn't really know her, but I had talked to her uh, because she was sitting in her car crying,
Okay.
and
Is this a person you
that's
knew by name?
no.
Okay.
I had no idea what her name was. I'd never met her before, never talked to her before.
Well, I'm talking about the lady that's there on your floor. I think it's been described as the thin person. Did you know her by name?
Well, that I understand her name is Rogers, her last name.
Well, I
That was the
understand,
thin girl.
ma'am, I understand that's what you've been told her name is. Did you know her name that day?
No, not until I was not until I was told.
Okay.
And I didn't really know her, and I forgot her name because really
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
didn't really know her.
This person you called Wendy came to your door and asked to step in and wait for the other person. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
which shocked me
Time would-
because
Ma'am, what time would this have been?
I don't recall what time.
Was it
Uh,
early afternoon, late afternoon?
I would say it was early afternoon.
Okay.
Uh,
And you testified on direct that that basically this person you've called Wendy came in and waited on the other person and the other person followed shortly after. Is that right?
yes, yes, that's true.
Now, this other person, if I understood your testimony correctly, went to a back room to look at some cookbooks. Is that correct?
That girl that has the name Rogers, she went into the back room to look at cookbooks.
How long was she back there?
I really don't recall, like, maybe 15 minutes, because that Wendy sat in my living room and I sat there and we talked back and forth that, and then Wendy said, wonder what's taking her so long. I'm going to go back and check out and see what's happening. And
Yeah.
she went back in that room. And I
Now, stop you for
sat,
a moment there, ma'am. When you went back in the room, did you go back or did Wendy go back?
she went back there
Okay, so
alone.
Wendy went back there. Did you go with her?
No, I did not.
Okay. Now you testified on direct that when you went to the back room or someone went to the back room, the door was locked. Is that correct?
Okay. Then they didn't come right back. And I thought, well, what are they doing? So I got up and walked back down the hall and I put my hand on the doorknob and it was locked. And I turned it again and it was unlocked.
Okay.
And so I went in and and the thin girl was I think Rogers, and she was on the floor looking through a cookbook, and Wendy was standing just looking down, and they were talking about a recipe, and that's all it was.
Okay. Would you describe this thin girl for me? How tall was she?
Well, she had her hair in those long kind of braids all over her whole head, those big long braids.
Okay.
Um,
Was she taller than you or shorter than you?
she's a very petite, small girl.
Black or white?
Oh, they were both black girls.
Okay. Was she heavy set or very, well, she said she was petite, so
She's
thin?
very petite and small, thin.
Was she taller than you or shorter than you?
Well, I don't know. I never really thought about it. She's just a small frame girl.
Okay.
She's a very petite and small. I would say she was, I wouldn't be, I can't say because I don't know for sure.
Okay.
I would be guessing.
Okay. You testified that the thin girl, this person you've named as Rogers, acted like she was injured or hurting. It's correct?
Yes, all of a sudden she started laid back and started moaning, and then she rolled back and forth. Oh, my stomach.
Okay.
Oh, and
Now,
and Wendy said, "Oh my, we need to get her to the emergency room. Could you please
Okay.
take us to the emergency room?"
okay. And about what time would you have left? Do you know?
I have no idea. I don't recall that.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't.
You indicated that basically it took you out of the country claiming that they were going to a hospital, correct?
Yes. Oh, definitely. We were
All right.
taking her to an emergency room.
Ma'am?
So I thought, and I was
Okay,
told.
ma'am, thank you. Now, and you indicated these people then threw you out of your car and left you, correct?
They sure did.
Okay. I want to hit or talk about the next time you saw either one of those persons.
I've never seen him
Okay.
since that
Well,
incident happened.
let me ask you that. This person that you're now calling Wendy here today, when is from that day, the day that you were thrown out of your car, when is the next time you saw her?
Right now on the picture on TV, it's the first time that I've seen her, and I see her on TV. this minute.
Okay, so the
The transcript captures an evidentiary preliminary hearing in the case involving defendant Wendy Scott, where the court evaluates whether sufficient probable cause exists to bind the case over for trial on multiple serious felony charges arising from a violent and deceptive incident involving an elderly victim. The proceedings begin with testimony from a civilian witness who encountered the victim, Beverly Zilk, shortly after the incident. He describes her as visibly injured, bleeding, and in a state of shock, recounting how she reported being deceived by two women who pretended to need medical help, coerced her into driving them, and ultimately forced her out of her own vehicle, before stealing it along with her belongings and her daughter's dog. The victim herself provides detailed and emotionally compelling testimony, explaining how one of the defendants feigned a medical emergency to manipulate her into offering transportation, after which the defendants redirected her onto a remote, rural road under false pretenses, threatened her with a gun, physically assaulted her, and forcibly removed her from the vehicle, causing significant injuries to her arm. Her testimony emphasizes both the use of deception and force, key elements that support the prosecution's theory of aggravated kidnapping and robbery. Importantly, the victim identifies Wendy Scott in court as one of the perpetrators, although the defense attempts to challenge the reliability of this identification by highlighting that the victim had not previously identified the defendant through formal law enforcement procedures such as photo lineups. Additional testimony from a detective further strengthens the prosecution's case by outlining the investigative process, including locating the stolen vehicle, apprehending the defendant, and obtaining statements from her. According to the detective, Scott admitted involvement in the scheme, describing a plan devised with an accomplice to lure the victim out, under the pretense of needing medical assistance, and then take her car and belongings. However, the defendant's account appears partially inconsistent, as she claims limited memory of events after leaving the victim's apartment, possibly due to drug use, which the defense later raises to question the reliability of her statements. Despite these challenges, the prosecution successfully argues for amendments to the charges, elevating the severity of the case by upgrading the kidnapping charge to aggravated kidnapping due to the bodily harm inflicted on the victim and increasing the theft charge based on the value of the stolen vehicle and items. The court accepts these amendments and finds probable cause on all counts, including aggravated kidnapping, mistreatment of a dependent elderly person, criminal threat, aggravated robbery, felony theft, and interference with law enforcement, thereby binding the defendant over for trial. The defense does not present evidence at this stage, focusing instead on cross-examination and procedural objections. The hearing concludes with the scheduling of a jury trial and pretrial proceedings, marking the transition from preliminary examination to formal prosecution. In a final emotional moment, the defendant personally addresses the court, pleading for temporary release to visit her critically ill daughter, who is reportedly suffering from brain cancer. However, the judge denies this request, citing the seriousness of the charges, the defendant's criminal history, and concerns about flight risk, while also expressing skepticism regarding the verification of her claims. Overall, the hearing reflects a strong prosecutorial case built on eyewitness testimony, victim identification, and partial admissions by the defendant, contrasted with a defense strategy aimed at undermining identification reliability and the credibility of statements, all within a procedural framework that emphasizes the court's role in determining whether sufficient evidence exists to proceed to trial rather than adjudicating guilt at this stage.